Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome each and every one of you to a new League of Legends video. So for this video, I wanted to take an early look into the next patch, patch 7.15. Take a look at the PvE, see exactly what's happening, and look at the biggest changes so far before we go over almost all of the changes next week when the patch is about to hit the live server. This will give us a better idea and an earlier idea as to what Rise seems to be planning and what things we can already expect to see coming. So as usual, if you guys end up enjoying this video and you find it informative or useful or whatever and you want me to continue making them, then let me know by simply hitting that like button. But right before we dissect this patch, I have a quick message. So GG Esports is a sponsor of the channel. It's a cool site where you can play completely for free while betting on LCS games and the outcomes of them. You can also win a bunch of really cool prizes like RP, keyboards, headsets, and all that good stuff. And it's even more important to enter now because we're in a competition between myself, Brofresco, and Gaming Curios. So if we win and you guys play under my name, then you guys will also be getting rewards like RP. So definitely make sure to hit that join now button at the top right of the screen and make sure to check out the link down below. So the very first thing that I want to talk about, and probably the biggest change that'll be coming to this next patch, is going to be the Udyr rework. Now I've talked about this rework about 2 or so weeks ago, but unfortunately did get reverted and removed off of the PvE, but it seems like it is back once again. And so with that being said, let's take a look at what is happening with Udyr and what it can exactly mean for the champion in the game itself. So first off, we have his base movement speed, which has been slightly increased, which is actually not too bad and is better than it sounds. But following that, his passive has been completely reworked to do the following. When Udyr changes stances during combat, keep in mind it says during combat, he gains 4% attack speed, 4% CDR, and 6% base attack damage for 7 seconds, which stacks up to 5 times. So that's 30% base attack damage and up to 20% increased attack speed and 20% CDR, assuming of course you have 5 stacks. That's actually quite a bit. Now the cool thing about the Udyr rework is the fact that his passive actually has a lot of interesting synergy with the rest of his abilities, which makes them even better. So on top of his passive in itself being quite effective and quite good, there is a lot more to talk about in his other abilities. So let's first start off with his Q, Tiger Stance. So it received some smaller changes as well, such as increasing the attack speed duration from 5 to 6. The dot damage has also been changed to where now it has better base damage, and on top of that it scales off of bonus AD rather than total AD. So if you want to play Udyr and you actually want to deal like actual significant damage with Tiger Stance, you're gonna have to get some actual AD items. The dot duration has been increased from 2 seconds to 6 seconds, and this is where one of the new effects come in on his Q. The dot damage has actually been increased by 6% for each passive stack that he has. Keep in mind that this is at the time of the application of the dot effect from Tiger Stance. So in other words, you can deal up to 30% increased damage on Tiger Stance with the dot damage, which is really strong. On top of that, its base damage has of course been increased to 270, which is not too bad to be completely honest. And on top of that, it does scale off of 90% bonus AD. So full AD Udyr might finally become a thing, maybe even going lethality, and even something like Duskblade Udyr could be a thing as well. Now following this, his W and his E ability did receive some very minor changes. So his W's shield has been actually changed to offer you more of a shield at the earlier ranks but less shield at the higher ranks. And the Bear Stance has actually received a pretty decent buff to where now the movement speed duration has been changed to be 3 seconds at every single rank rather than being 2 seconds at rank 1 and then finally going up to 3 by rank 5, which may mean that his ability can be more of a 1-point wonder. You put 1 point into this ability and you don't have to level it up for quite some time. But following this, we also have a pretty big change happening to Phoenix Stance. The active duration has actually been increased from 4 seconds to 6 seconds. The base damage on the flame aura for the Phoenix Stance has been changed to be a bit higher at the earlier ranks but a bit lower at the later ranks. But it also got a big buff in scaling, because now it scales off of 120% AP rather than 100% AP, and it got a completely new scaling of 120% to bonus AD. So it seems like since now Tiger Stance has the dot application of 6 seconds rather than 2, which obviously means it'll last that much longer, it seems like maxing out the Tiger Stance and Phoenix Stance for just maximum damage may definitely be a thing, because you apply Tiger Stance, it lasts for 6 seconds, you switch to Phoenix Stance and you just start wailing away at the target, and they're going to be taking quite a bit of damage from both of these abilities combined. Because following this, the Fire Cone ability for Phoenix Stance has also been changed. damaged. In a very similar fashion to the Flame Aura, where the base damage has been slightly lowered overall, but it now scales off of up to 70% bonus AD, and the 45% AP scaling is still the exact same. So Hybrid Udyr, maybe getting something like a Hextech Gunblade could be quite a thing, and then going straight AD afterwards. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities now, and Udyr seems to potentially actually be a good champion once again. But just like Tiger Stance, Phoenix Stance has also received the new effect of increasing the fire cone damage, which again, don't forget, not the aura, but the cone where you spit out the fire in front of you, by 6% for each inner beast stack Udyr has, again, up to 5 stacks, which in other words means up to 30% bonus damage. Personally, I think these changes are actually quite good, and I'm really excited to see where this takes Udyr, and if you're an Udyr main, I would definitely be excited for these changes. They sound really good. They sound like they finally make Udyr an actual good champion and back into the meta, so there's only going to be one way to find out, and that's just by waiting for the patch to hit the live servers. Alright guys, I also want to very quickly show you a new Keystone rune that just got revealed. It's called Hunt of the BLOODMOON, right? Now it's going to be part of the Domination Path, and it's going to be a part of the Hunt, specific part of the Hunt of the Domination Path, right? There's going to be a Snowball, a Burst Keystone, and a Hunt one. So this is the Hunt one, without question at all. What does it do? It's pretty strong. You enhance your boots, giving them the effect of the Blood Moon's Call. Channel for 3 seconds to activate the Blood Moon's Call. Gain 35% movement speed for 15 seconds, which is a long time. Damaging attacks or abilities and Blood Moon's Call, dealing 60 to 140 based on level, which also scales off of AP and AD as bonus damage. 180-second cooldown, and it starts the game on cooldown, and it goes on cooldown if you get damaged or interrupted or whatever while channeling, which you just saw right there. So here's an example of how it looks like. Extremely powerful. I mean, it gives you a lot of extra damage, especially on someone like Talon that helps them go over the wall faster. It's a pretty damn strong Keystone. I have to say, this is looking pretty damn OP. So, I mean, this is definitely something to look forward to for assassins, you know, like myself, I guess. You know, I'm gonna love playing with this on Talon, on Shaco, on maybe even Rengar, even though I don't really play Rengar. But yeah, pretty strong. So I want to show you guys this very quickly, very powerful, and they're gonna have the other examples of the Burst and the Snowball Keystones coming out very soon as well. So I guess we have to look forward to that. Following this, I want to talk about a slightly smaller rework happening to Mundo, because he's also getting some new effects on 2 of his abilities. Now the first change I want to talk about is somewhat interesting, because now his Burning Agony has gotten the cost of 10 health per second to actually maintain the ability to be completely removed, but now has a new effect where instead he actually deals 15 up to 35 base damage plus 10% AP scaling magic damage to himself every 30 seconds. So what does this mean? Well, if you actually potentially stack magic resistance and you get enough of it, it'll actually do a lot less damage to you than just flat out 10 health per second every single rank, no matter what kind of, you know, resistances you have and all that good stuff. So essentially, it seems like you're getting the potential to try and lower the damage dealt to yourself by getting more magic resistance. I'm not entirely sure why or what the point of this is exactly, and I'm curious what the direction Riot is trying to put Mundo into, but it's definitely a pretty interesting and new change to Mundo. But obviously that is not all that's happening, because his E ability has also been changed. The cost to use his E ability has also been lowered to 0 HP rather than 25. But it now has a very interesting new effect which actually synergizes with his Burning Agony, the W, quite surprisingly well. Because its passive effect now is when Dr. Mundo suffers magic damage. Keep in mind, Burning Agony deals magic damage to himself. His magic resistance is increased by 2% for 2 seconds, up to a maximum of 30% by rank 5. So it almost seems like Mundo is becoming quite the anti-magic damage dealing type champion in League of Legends, because gaining up to 30% magical resistance for 2 seconds, and that's pretty easy to get considering all he has to do is turn on his W and he'll get that within seconds, is pretty effective and actually really damn strong sounding. On top of this, the actual active portion of Masochism has also been slightly reworked, and now states the following: Dr. Mundo's next basic attack will headbutt the enemy, dealing an additional X physical damage, 3% of maximum health, at the cost of 25 health from Dr. Mundo. Upon activation, Dr. Mundo gains up to 220 by rank 5 attack damage, no less than 110 based on missing HP. Now the overall concept of this ability in terms of the active effect is still somewhat similar, though it has been changed ever so slightly. But again, the biggest factor is the fact that his W and his E ability now have new passive effects which seem to have extremely strong synergy together, and Mundo will essentially be walking around with 30% magic resistance without any issues whatsoever and getting it completely for free. So I'm gonna be really curious to see how this one plays out for Mundo, because now he's gonna be essentially the anti-mage top lane type champion. Now following this, I wanted to talk about a disgustingly massive, just huge buff happening to Gangplank. Now Gangplank, of course, known to be one of the strongest late game champions, the champion that Tobias Fade mains and one tricks as well, and these buffs to Gangplank, I have to say, are just absolutely monstrosity. It's so big. I feel like Tobias Fade, for instance, will be really happy with this, and Gangplank may actually be probably the most OP champion in the game, because his passive, Trial by Fire, the bonus true damage has actually been changed from going from 30 to 200 to 45 to 215. So in other words, he's actually gained 15 damage on his passive, which is just completely mind-boggling. I feel like this will definitely make him by far the strongest champion in League of Legends, and if I were you, I would without question ban Gangplank on the next patch. Holy. But on a slightly more serious note, let's talk about a nerf coming to Zac. Now Zac is easily one of the strongest junglers still, and he's extremely annoying to face, so it seems like some nerfs are definitely in line. The first of which is as follows: Stretching Strikes is Q. The cost has been increased from 4% of current health to 8% of current health. And the cooldown has also been changed from being 12 seconds at rank 1 up to 8 seconds by rank 5 to 13 seconds at rank 1 up to 9 seconds by rank 5. So essentially plus 1 second at every single rank. But now the fact that it costs you 2 times extra health to actually use the ability, that is actually quite a big nerf. Now I'm not sure if it'll be enough to actually make him completely garbage or just not as strong as he is. I feel like he'll still be pretty good, if not almost the same, but this is still a step in the right direction. Because following this, his W, Unstable Matter, has also been nerfed to where the magic damage on this ability has actually been changed and lowered at every single rank. Again, is this enough to lower Zac? I honestly don't think so, because he's still going to do a lot of damage, he's still going to have that great gank and initiation potential, his Q ability is still going to be insanely strong with the CC portion of it, not really the damage or how much it costs you. So, I mean, again, not enough nerfs in my opinion, but at least it is a step in the right direction. And last but not least, we also have some buffs happening to Xerath, something that I haven't seen in League of Legends for quite some time. His W, Eye of Destruction, the slow has actually been increased up to 25% from 10%, which in all honesty is pretty damn big. Following that, his ultimate, the magic damage has actually been changed from 200 up to 260 to 200 up to 280. Now, not the biggest damage change in the entire world, but every single little bit of damage for Xerath definitely counts because of just how much damage he deals to begin with. But again, I honestly feel like increasing the slow on his W up to 25% from 10% is pretty damn big. If you land it in the center, you're essentially guaranteed to land almost every one of your other abilities. But there you guys have it, some of the biggest changes coming to patch 7.15 in just over a week. I mean, again, this is not all the changes, in fact this isn't even half of the changes, but I wanted to take an early look into the ones that I consider to be the bigger changes. But before we end off the video, let me quickly show you guys how GG Esports works exactly. Alright guys, so betting on GG Esports is actually quite easy. You first pick a game that you want to bet on, in this case TSM versus Dignitas. In this one, I'm going to be betting that TSM will actually beat Team Dignitas, and I'll be putting about 5,000 on TSM, and I'll get an expected return of just under 7,000. But the great thing is the fact that there's a lot of different ways to bet. So in this case, I'm going to go over to game 1 specifically, and in game 1, I'm going to go ahead and bet that TSM will actually get first blood as well, and put about 2,000 in there as well. Now let's take a look at how I've done in the previous bets so far that I have put onto GG Esports. As you can see here, there's quite a bit of description, but you can see in some of them I've actually gained quite a bit of gold in return, but on some of them as well I did lose quite a bit as well. So it's a lot of fun going up and down, and a competition between all the other YouTubers. The link is down below, it's free to play, check it out. Alright guys, but thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, definitely hit it with that like button, subscribe if you haven't, check out my other videos as well, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.